This meeting is called to order at 18:02. All board members are present. Quiet. Would you all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Go ahead.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. It's a pleasure to see this much participation in the governance of our community. So hopefully we can start a trend here.
I didn't hear what he said.
Turn it on.
Yeah, wait, nobody can hear you.
I said I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I want to see this much participation in the governance of our community, and hopefully we can start a trend here.
Okay, I'm going to forego president's comments because we have too many things going on here. Member comments. Item 4, member comments, is regarding items on the agenda. Now you can see we have a large number of people. If you're going to say the same thing as the person in front of you, please, I mean, you're welcome to do it, but we are going to stop 30 minutes from now because that's what we allow. And you can see the number of people here. If you just want to go, me too, that's great, okay? So if you would like to make a comment, keep it as short as you can, but identify yourself and your address so we know you're actually from Pine Ridge, okay? Who has a comment on anything on the agenda? Not off the agenda, that's another. So anything that's on this agenda right now.
Come to the podium, right, Mike?
You come to the podium, we have a microphone.
Podium, please.
Go right ahead, sir. You got the timer since he starts. Yeah, it's broke.
Here.
Good afternoon. My name is Frank Hopfermüller. I live on Mulberry Loop. My question, I received the email about the golf course purchase. They asked for input. The email was not really informative. What's going on? What is the purchase price? I'm sure you guys address it in a little bit. Tell us a little more about it. What would be the purchase price of the property? What is the plan with the golf course? Is somebody planning on operating the golf course as Pine Ridge community? Do we lease it out? The number $400 was put out as a one-time payment. Everybody knows operating, maintaining a golf course is a tremendous expense. So our association fees most likely will go up way beyond $400 or $500 a year. So I just need a little more information about what the board is planning.
All right, let me help you out with that. The referendum we are proposing to put forward is to purchase the land. We have not decided what to do with it. That'll also be up to you. This is a defensive measure. The golf course is, the land use of the golf course is recreational. That means like recreational camping, motocross, things like that we won't control if we don't own this piece of property. So the first referendum that we will be proposing is to purchase the land. And then we will have another discussion once we can control our own fate. The purchase of the land should be a one-time expenditure.
And it will be.
Wait a minute, one thing quick. The survey we just did was an effort to find out if there was enough interest in the community for the board to spend the time and the resources to come up with that plan and to put the details to it. As you can imagine, this is not a small project. We didn't want to get halfway through it and then find out the community's not interested.
Absolutely.
So that's all the survey was just an effort to see if there was interest in the community to move forward and create a plan for a ways and means to acquire the golf course or
Okay,
the
but
golf
it-
course land.
In order to give valuable input to the board, we would have to know what the plan is.
Absolutely. When there's a referendum, you will have the details before, when
Okay.
you're asked to vote on the
Wait a
referendum.
minute, John.
If it's,
Now, please understand, if you don't care what goes up there, like we almost had a worldwide church taking 50 acres of that 221 acres. And they were gonna probably be knocking on your door. So the board feels we should control that land, even if we just mow it or turn it into residential property. We are not going to decide what to do with it until we own it, because we can't fill this building this many times, you know, one at a time. So consider it a defensive measure. It's like buying the property next to you so somebody won't move in. That is the proposal we will be putting forward. Does that help? Okay, hopefully that helps with some questions.
we got two more questions. What is the proposed purchase price of the property? Do we know?
We haven't negotiated that yet.
Okay,
We're seeing where the market is. We've seen a number of people turned away.
okay.
And so we have a rough idea of where it
Okay.
might go, but we need to do a little more. This is just, the motion tonight is to engage us to develop the referendum.
Okay.
Then all those details will go to you and you say yes or no. But please, when you're talking about it, it's just to buy the land this time. All right, so only we can decide what happens
Okay.
there.
What would happen if a future board decides, now we open up a golf course? Would that be brought up to the homeowners?
All decisions that require expenditures and uses of our facilities
Okay.
go forward.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
I hope I'm tall enough. My name is Jan Zerl. I live on Bonanza. I'm very interested in keeping our neighborhood as it is. And I think this is, in my mind, a fairly simple decision. We got a scale here. We heard a while back that there was the possibility that the county was going to allow low-cost housing or whatever we're going to allow, blah, blah, blah. Well, don't worry about the $400 because when you go to sell your real estate in your house, it'll be plummeting because of what we have allowed to happen to our neighborhood. So I'm not too preoccupied by the money now, because if we go to sell, we'll lose it at the back end. So I think that's a very moot point. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dick Fitzgerald. I have lived here for 29 years. I am a retired PGA golf professional. And for many years, I gave lessons to the girls of Citrus County for nothing at the Pine Ridge Golf Course. The only reason that I decided to stand up today, please consider what our team is going to do for us as far as that golf course is concerned. Thank you very much.
You're going to speak, kind of get up here and in a queue so we can get it quickly.
But also keep in mind, if your message has gotten across and you understand what we plan to do, we've got a lot to do tonight. Okay?
My name's Gary Klamansky. I live on Lantana. Just one more bit of information. We got to move fairly quick because if it's not sold by June the 6th, it goes up for auction.
Yes.
It's up for auction. The auction starts June the 6th. It's up for sale right now. Like they've said, there's been a few offers that have not been accepted, but I can forward you the auction site if you'd like to see that.
We're aware of that.
All right, but we have, whatever we decide, we got to give them time to formulate what we're going to do. Short and sweet.
Thank you.
Pardon me? Yeah, go ahead. So the survey, just so you know, it's just a sampling to tell us whether we're on the right track.
My name is Keith Landers. I'm your webmaster and also the geek, sort of head geek for the neighborhood. So this is not a vote. This was a question that was asked in the survey. 749 people answered the survey. Of that survey, the question of, do you think POA should pursue a plan to purchase the golf course property so that the POA can control the future of all this land? Of those 749 votes, 627 voted yes, 122 voted no. That's 84% yes, 16% no.
Okay, are we good on that? Does anybody have anything else on any of the other agenda items? Outstanding. So, go ahead. Yeah, you gotta come up. You gotta come up.
So we can bring her the mic.
Okay, I'm Debbie Alloway. I live on Ranger. And I have a question about the agenda for the Golf to Lakes presentation. And I just want to know if that land's going to be in our HOA.
It will not.
Okay,
It's already not. That land is owned by somebody else right now.
okay, so those of us that live there, we could have low-income housing, we could have businesses, we could have.
an agreement with Gulf to Lakes, which they're here to discuss tonight, that limits them to 1 acre properties there. They're here to ask us to lower that. Okay, like I said, we're gonna have a presentation on
Okay,
that. Okay. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Randy Barnes. I live on Mojave Terrace, not in the area of the golf course. I'm opposed to purchasing it and to being charged. In my case, since I own my house and the lot next to it, will be $800 per the recent.
We haven't set a number yet. We just. there was
That's
an
what
up
came
to.
out, so that's what I'm working with. So $800 for something that I have no use for. I sympathize with the people who live on the golf course. It occurs to me that perhaps the people whose homes are on the golf course, we could find a way to add the property to extend their lot lines into the fairways or something like that, such that they could get a benefit from it. There's no knowledge about what's going to be the use of the property. So why would I want to pay $800, which I suspect would increase incrementally through the years? It means nothing to me.
Give him a chance. Give him a chance.
It means nothing to me. I sympathize with you that live on the golf course. It's a problem. I think the way that might be fixed is financing or something, adding land to your property, making your property more valuable instead of less valuable. But in short, I have no interest in anything over there. There's no use proposed. I don't even know what would go there. I play tennis over at Citrus Hills, so, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
I think there's another aspect that we're not thinking about here. There is an aspect that we're not thinking about here. I come from central New Jersey. I'm a horse person. We used to do a lot of trail riding up in the area. And one of the things that was accomplished up there is they had accommodations for horse people to be able to pull into the place with their horse, put the horse in a small stall, tie up, be safe, and the folks could go in and have a beer and a hamburger. Let me tell you, first of all, the money is from the alcohol, not the food. And you would have so many more people spending time, money, enjoying one another's company, etc. It's not just about golf, it's about our community. And we are a golf, horse, blah, blah, blah community. So I think not recognizing what it's going to do to us from a real estate perspective in the future is a big, big mistake. And I'm happy to hear what's going on so far. And I'll be happy to be present for all of your meetings and any information you need from any of us that is helpful to you. Thank you.
Carolyn?
I need your name, by the way. I'm Carol Ann Russler. I live on Begonia. I think golf is dorky. I followed my ex-husband one time and thought I could do so much planting in the yard instead of following this little dumb ball. So I sympathize with people who don't like to play golf. I don't play tennis. I come in and do step aerobics. That's what I do. You're not looking at the overall picture. So many times people want things that just affect them. Now, this golf course, if it is sold to some idiot who comes in, pardon my French, it's going to be some idiot who wants to make money and doesn't care about our community, we could end up with some kind of garbage in there that's going to pull our prices down. And that's a big no-no. We have worked very, very hard with deed restrictions so that people have some autonomy. But we have to work together at times as a community, no matter what you like, no matter what you don't like. This will affect every single person here and all those people that aren't here.
Go ahead, sir.
Hi, guys. I'm new in the neighborhood. We've been here a couple of years. My name's Rick. We live off of Carnation. I just one question. Do we get the equipment that's over at the golf course? Does that all come with everything? The mowers, the lawnmowers, the golf carts, everything too? Do you know?
We don't have an inventory at this time.
Okay, because we were actually purchasing the golf course about 2.5 years ago when Brian owned it and went through all this stuff. And we want to keep it as a golf course, and the deal never worked out. Also, we could not turn that into a bar and restaurant unless we do over 50% food to get a liquor license out here. So if we open that as a club for the community, which I would love to do, but you have to do over 50% food to get a liquor license in it. Because right now it's a liquor license as a golf course. And there's 2 separate licenses to do that. Or otherwise, you buy a license outright, it's about $500,000.
Yeah, again, we want to own the property, then figure out what to do with it.
Okay, all right, thanks.
We're getting very close to the end of our time.
We have 15 more minutes. 15 more minutes.
I'll be quick. I'm new. My name's Veronica. I live on Learwood. I literally just moved here 2 months ago. Okay, putting this in front of everybody, think about what it means, not just to your property, but to everybody, and what is in the best interest of the entire community. Regardless of what we decide to do with it, it's in our hands. It's our decision. If we let it go and somebody else buys it, it's whatever they decide to do with it. That's the most important thing to keep in mind. If we purchase it, we could create a separate board to decide what gets done with it. We already know there's like 221 acres, so there's a multitude of things we could decide to do with that much space and that much land. Keep that in mind.
All right, the only other thing I'm going to say is this is great enthusiasm, but it doesn't help at all if you don't vote on the referendum. Much like the election where we could not get enough ballots to declare a winner, if you fail to respond to the referendum, even if a majority are in favor, if we don't meet the quorum, we start all over again, and then time's gone. We're already short. So just keep that in mind. When it comes in the mail, don't wait, respond and get it back to us. All right? All right. All right, we're going to move on now, if you're all okay with that. One more, and we do have 8 minutes left.
This is the last Mohegan right here.
Recreational.
My name is Lester. I've lived here 2 years. I live on West, I can't
At least
remember
that's
the
what I
name
was
of the
told.
street. Anyway, how many exact lots are in here?
In the golf.
How many lots are in this Pine Ridge
Oh,
subdivision?
we don't know.
A little bit north of 4,900.
4,900. And somebody offered 750 for them 221 acres?
We know how to divide multiples.
I mean, so what's the rough cost it's gonna cost to buy this? 750, 1 million, 3 million?
No less than 750.
All right, so that's chump change, really, for 4,900 people. Now, how many actual houses are in here?
33, what was it? 33, 36?
So there's 1,540 empty lots, roughly.
They're not necessarily buildable lots, some people own more than one lot.
But if they own them lots, they have to contribute to the whole thing of this. All right, I lived in Melbourne Beach, and the golf course was closed there. And they couldn't build anything on it for like 5 years because there was so much fertilizer in the land that if they wanted to build houses there, they had to dig up like 10 feet and would have cost them 3 times what they paid for it. That's something to take into consideration.
Good.
But we don't want to kick the can down the road.
No, I'm just saying that, you know, that everybody says, well, they're just going to build houses there.
Okay,
If
let's
that's
everybody
been-
give him.
If that's been
Sure.
fertilized for 20 years, you're not going to be able to build houses there. There's going to be so much fertilizer and stuff there.
Business, we're in the land use, we want to acquire them.
All right,
So yeah,
but you're saying there's 4,900 lots in here. So if there was 5,000 lots, that's $150 a piece.
There's a formula we have to use.
All right. I mean, we spend more than that just going to the store to buy food.
okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right, let's move on. Let's move on. Let's see. Where
What's
are we?
not on the agenda?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, we're going to,
Why don't you ask and see how many people?
if we discuss item D now, which is the golf course, how many of you are going to walk out after that? All right, that's a few seats. Any objection to moving to item D first on the board? Item D is the golf course purchase. Huh? Oh, I'm sorry. I've been corrected. There's another comment section in here where you can talk about anything not on the agenda. So like if you want to say your parking lot's not big enough, why don't you make a bigger parking lot for nights like this? We'll just respond. If we had you here like this every night, we would, but it doesn't happen often. We have to create a crisis. Okay. So does anybody have any comments? This is a place for you to say, hey, I think you guys ought to be putting this on your agenda and trying to address this problem and not the golf course, please. Yes, ma'am.
Maybe you could take a walk around our trails sometime. Oh, here, I'm sorry about that. Okay, for you all who do not ride horses, maybe you could take the time to walk our trails. And it's amazing to me, riding down the road, the front of the house may look lovely. If you drive or ride on the trails behind the houses, it is incredible what you see. Where I came from used to be a wildlife preserve, and we would go out as volunteers to clean it up because people left tires, they left equipment, they left dilapidated cars, and it went on and on. I think all of our board members ought to go for a gator ride, a carriage ride, a tractor ride, I don't care how they do it, but they should observe what's going on in our neighborhood behind the house and the facial thing that we see. It's deplorable. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hello, Tony Ayo, corner of Custer and Pecos. I'm going to address the 486 sign. that's been demolished twice.
4 times.
Okay, 4 times, whatever you want to call it. Okay, why don't we just do what we did at 491 where we have them on the sides?
We don't own both sides of the road there. We don't own the property on that.
Then use the one that you do have.
No, we're looking at other options.
Okay, because it wasn't on the list. The one that I had to check was the one to move the sign, further north, but that doesn't make any sense because it'd still be in the median. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, my name's Kieran Resch. I live on Mallow Circle, and I'm really curious. I'm a snowbird. I got here in October, and someone dug a ginormous hole on both sides of North Cliff on October 25th. The holes are still open. I consider them dangerous. They're an eyesore, and I'm wondering who dug them and why they're not dealt with.
No, it's something to do with the golf course irrigation.
All right, we have called the county on that. Apparently it's near the golf course with something to do with their irrigation. And since we don't own that property, we can't do anything. Another reason to own the property. Anything else, or shall we move on? Very good. Chair will entertain a motion. This is item 6A. The chair will entertain a motion to accept the regular board meeting minutes dated 23 March 2022.
Moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's just us, by the way. All right. Unanimous.
Meanwhile, back at the board.
All right. Item 6B. Chair will entertain a motion to accept the special board meeting minutes dated 28 March 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Item 6C. Chair will entertain a motion to accept the special board meeting minutes dated 8 April 2022.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
Just one on all of the minutes. Just add my last name to the top.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Item 7A. Chair will entertain a motion to adopt the treasurer's report dated 31 March 2022, subject to audit. Moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Yes, sir.
I noticed we have a lot. Can you hear me?
No.
Switch. Hello?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. I noticed one of the rising costs of our common facilities are insurance. I thought in one of our workshops, we had agreed that we were going to rebid this. Did that happen or not happen? Does anyone know?
As in revisit the
Or-
insurance that we're doing?
Yeah, the insurance policies that we have.
I don't believe we've done that. I don't know that we set a date.
Yeah.
Well, I would assume it'd be when it gets close to being expired.
Yeah.
Policy. And I thought that was April.
Actually, it was never on it was never on a workshop agenda. So if you did discuss it at a workshop agenda, it wasn't on there. But I do recall that it came up at a board meeting, correct? But the board agreed not to do that. So no, it hasn't been done. The agency's been with Pine Ridge 3 generations of family. And
That scares me.
but they have, it's a very difficult time for insurance.
Oh, I know that. Yeah. That's all the more reason I think why we should rebid it.
Something we can,
If we can find it.
That's the only question I have.
Try and find it.
Well, is your question
It's a separate item.
I understand that your question, but it's separate from approving the treasurer's report.
Well, the only reason I bring it up is because it's on the Pine Ridge President financial report. That
Okay. Yeah, run with it.
it was just a question and I got an answer, so
All right.
we can move on.
All right, very good. So have you changed it? Are we unanimous now?
Yes.
All right, very good. Thank you, Wayne. All
Wayne.
right.
Thank you, Wayne.
It was all in favor. It's
Mike's in his mind.
It's unanimous.
Nobody voted.
I voted.
Except me.
We did.
Okay,
I'll say yes.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Very good. You're gonna make this a difficult last one, aren't you? All right, do we wanna jump ahead so we might free up a few seats? Everybody good with that? Jump to item 9? And then come back? All right. Item 9D, I believe it is.
No, it's 9D.
9D, I think that's what he
Yeah,
said.
9 Delta. Move to author, the chair will entertain a motion to authorize an ad hoc committee to develop a referendum to seek approval from the membership to participate in the purchase of the golf course property and appoint Wayne Took and John Hyde as co-chairs of said committee.
Moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Those committees can be attended by members. If you wish to join that committee, talk to these two gentlemen.
If you've got an expertise in this area, we would love to hear from you. Please.
No further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It is unanimous. So anybody that was here just for the golf course,
You're excused.
Okay. But Mike, that's 9D. That's 9D.
all right. Is Joe here?
It wasn't what we listed. I thought we were just voting to make a referendum, but he's making it committee.
Joe?
In the back.
Okay.
I need to cast. Do we need? I'll get to him. Let's get this going. Because this will take care of some more things on here.
Yeah, we love it. One of the things I'm looking for is some kind of an inventory.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's take a conversation outside if you're leaving. They might be.
Yeah. Thin the herd a little bit.
At least I should be able to cast them.
My wife.
He'll reiterate that the settlement agreement says that the property is not part of Pine Ridge. It's just next to it.
Just get that over the Rhodes committee presentation.
Yeah, we'll come back. I want to get. Keep me straight though, Wayne. This many people are scary. All right, combat smarter, please. All right, everybody hold your questions until we're done. I will be projecting the, well, I was projecting the. Wayne, I might need your help. Am I, no, that's the wrong thing. I want to just.
Cast, no cast, cast.
No problem. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, please, because I can't seem to find the stop button.
Us too.
So the problem is,
I get paid just as much as y'all do.
That's right.
Zeros to our salary, but to the wrong side.
Okay, so we're
Where's
on your
Denise?
cast, right?
Oh, okay.
Cast. Turn it off. Go to sources.
oh,
Choose
sources
cast.
first. All right, source first. All right, thank you. And then I got, yeah, it's the order. thing.
Keith,
There we go.
can you put it there as well, please?
Okay. Could you hold it down? Give Joe a chance to talk about the Gulf to Lakes proposal he has. And can you guys see this?
It is upside down.
That's as big as I can get it.
Mike, any chance you can rotate it?
It's upside down.
Oh, you want it rotated? You know, I did a lot of work just to
That's
rotate
okay.
it this
You
way
wanna be
because
able to read
it'll
it?
be shorter this
That's
way.
okay, that's okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Here, let me get you our high-tech point.
Okay.
The only high-tech thing we have.
Yeah.
I know we have the pictures, but.
We spare no expense. All right, can we hold it down, please?
Well, thank you for this opportunity. I guess if I had a choice, I probably would have picked another meeting, but thanks just the same. My name's Joe Capicelli. I'm with Gulf to Lakes Associates. We own the property that is outlined in red here. That is approximately 147 acres in size. And just to give you some bearings, this is the YMCA, and this is the future elementary school site.
North is down, right?
North is down, correct. Yeah. This is the Walmart Center. This is the top. This site, through various amendments, we've continually worked with this community to do amendments to develop this site in such a way that exists today. I think we've done 6 amendments over the years. But today, the way this property sits, it's not part of Pine Ridge. I think we paid a fee approximately 5 or 6 years ago to basically vacate the plat that existed. And one of the reasons why we vacated the plat was there was a proposed road, horseback, that was going to come right through to 486, and we had heard concerns that there need not be any connectivity to Pine Ridge. And so the plat has been vacated. It's 147 acres. It's subject to a settlement agreement that exists with your community. And we're here today to let you know that we've sold the property. It's under contract. We're working with a developer to develop it into housing. They would like to do a central water and sewer community, which requires additional density. They are also buying approximately 130 acres from us that are abuts that will be all around Black Diamond. So we are looking at connectivity into Black Diamond with this property. So we've done some concept plans, but I don't want to get too far ahead. But there are some additional, I guess, exhibits that I provided.
They're here.
And maybe we can do the next one, which will show what it's currently approved for. This is just a concept plan. These are 1 acre lots. The site, as you'll see, was approved for the Y school. And then we later came back, this site over here was approved at one time for a substation because the power company wants to build a substation for Pine Ridge. And so that got approved at that time. They went ahead and purchased a 5 acre site across the street in Whitla-Pucci's area. And we believe that will be the area they'll one day build the substation to help support the community. So when that occurred, we'd asked to amend the agreement to eliminate the substation, and we put a church site there, which is approximately 5 acres in size. So that's what exists today through our agreement.
We sell the property, we would sell the property subject to this agreement. We're here before you, as we have been in the past, to come to you to let you know what the developer's plans would be. And again, as I mentioned, he's looking to go higher density with a planned community that would include water and sewer. And I think everybody here can understand 1 acre lots, building roads for 1 acre lots, obviously is a challenge. And so, Mike, the next exhibit was important just to provide, because again, what this shows is that the intent was to create no access to Pine Ridge, because that was an issue that we had heard at that time. And so there will be potentially 3 access points into this property. We have 2 designs. One shows 1 main entrance here, and then 1 coming in from the east. And so that's what that exhibit demonstrates, that again, it is not our intent. Also, we agreed that there be a 50-foot natural buffer that would remain along the northern boundary. And if some of you are familiar with the location of this property, there's a road that runs north-south here called Tampico. It continued down on Tampico, and then it expanded to 75 feet along the road. And the reason for that was, at the time, again, it was contemplated to be a substation, and we wanted to enhance landscaping around the substation. But there would be a natural buffer around the perimeter of the property. I think there's also a provision for a fence that would need to be constructed as well, a 4-rail vinyl fence. And then if I could go to the next exhibit. That just shows some of the topography. I do have the developer's engineer here too, who's very familiar with the property. He's the engineer for the YMCA, so nobody knows this property better than Chuck Pigeon, and thought it would be beneficial to have him if anybody had any questions. But Mike, if we could go to the next one. This was a concept plan. This one demonstrates 2 access points from 486. And then this one is actually a shared access that would be a bus access for the elementary school. And as I'm sure most of you know, at this time, there are no plans for the elementary school to be built within the 5-year work study from the school board. But I can tell you it's coming, and it's going to be within the 5 years with all the growth that's coming. So this will be a shared access for a bus access. What we have with the YMCA is going to be the main access for the school. We purposely brought the road back only a certain depth where it wouldn't continue on through. So one day kids could go from the school to the YMCA without having to cross the road. And then again, we have the access to the east. This concept plan was nothing more than us to initially open up discussion with your community in showing what potentially could be on the site. This is 390 lots. This is not what's being asked for, but Mike, if we could see the next exhibit 2. It's also similar in size. I believe they're approximately 390 lots. I think it's 2.65 units per acre. There's 147 acres. What we initially proposed, what the developer proposed, was to build about 300 lots, two units to the acre on the property. And we were asked if he would reduce that. We asked, and he said he would reduce it to 270 units. He would go down another 10%. But again, obviously, again, it's a totally different type of community. It would be on no septic systems, water and sewer. And I think I have one more exhibit. And this was just nothing more than a colored rendering. This was presented to the community, I'm going to say maybe 6 or 7 years ago. It was just a concept plan at that time, again, when we were contemplating the Y, the school, and then we were looking at other, maybe an office type use across the front. I'm assuming everybody's aware what LKQ is doing as they're going to expand the junkyard all the way across the back down 486. And so So that's the last of my exhibit. Again, our request is really, I'm sorry.
Could you drop that one slide there? Mike? I think the lots down there along in the blue.
These are existing tracks within Pine Ridge. These are approximately, correct me, 2.75 acres
So
in
those are the
size.
Pine Ridge lots.
Yes, this is Ranger. And so these lots have a depth of about 400 foot. And then we were adding the 50-foot buffer in addition to height. There are 15 lots, of which we own one. And we also own the road that was vacated when we vacated the flat. So we had sold this lot off, but we own this lot here. So there's 14 other owners that abut our property. There's nobody property owners here because of the road. And then through another entity, we own all the property here too. And I may as well mention while everybody's here because it's going to come up for zoning. This parcel here is in zoning right now, and we are doing a rehab hospital put next to the YMCA. So that will be coming before our Board of County Commissioners probably within May 5th. So that's going to be a physical rehab hospital that will be built on that site.
Is the VA tied into that?
The VA is actually looking for sites right now. They do not have congressional approval, but there are developers swarming the area. And if you get a chance to go up to Ocala behind the racetrack oil, that right before the Dillards, you'll see a new VA facility that was constructed. And that's what the VA is proposing for the Canto. It's approximately a 60,000 square foot facility. They want it open by 2026. They're looking for about 10 acres of property. We are talking to them on some of the commercial property that goes a little further east for a site for the future VA. But that, again, it's a lease deal. And with the government, any lease deal over $1 million a year requires congressional approval.
So board members, questions?
Yes. Yes, ma'am. We're under contract to sell it. We've owned the property for about 35 years.
And the people that was bought.
Yes, ma'am.
This is, yeah, nobody can hear me. I got mine. Thanks. Usually I used to teach, so I can speak very loudly if I have to. Oh, that's right. You can't hear me out there. So you have it under contract now, and the expectation of the buyer is?
Well, obviously, they're looking to they prefer to do a water and sewer community, and they would like to tie it all in with the property to the east, which already allows higher density. So they would like to do a residential planned community with water and sewer.
Okay, I have a question, and we may not be able to answer it. It might not be the appropriate time, but our agreement is with you.
That is correct. That's why I'm here.
The agreement goes with the land.
Okay, the agreement will pass with the land
Yes,
on sale.
We sell it subject to the agreement. So whether it's us standing here or in the future, it could be the other developer. It's subject to those terms of that agreement.
Okay, and is there sale to you contingent on this plan of?
It is not. It is
Okay.
not. So they will be buying the property.
And we will be negotiating with them in the future if we
Yeah.
need to.
We've got a lot of work to do before the engineers get totally engaged in the project. Our first step, and it's been in the past, and I think we've demonstrated this pattern with the community, is that
yes,
your support, then what happens is the engineers get engaged, the concept plans come forward, all the documents start. When we made this offer, we also offered to pay the community $100,000 for basically the additional lots that would be created. We know that you're going to incur legal fees, obviously based on the agreement that we would have, but I would have to believe that there'll be a nice surplus, based on our past experience in working on these amendments. But there's been an offer to pay the community. As we did when we released this, we did pay the community $200,000.
Okay.
And that allowed us to we gave the land to the YMCA.
Okay, yeah, and I remember negotiating about the church before.
Yes,
On
the
the
church
same
came
quarter.
up, the church was, I believe, our last amendment that we had with.
With
the
us,
community.
yes. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
You're talking about they want water and sewer. You're saying they want water and sewer, but the reality is they can't build at that density without the sewer, right?
The cost, they would have to look to do a different product, which, it's 147 acres. They could look for variances to build with, Chuck can speak to it better than I, but, you can go and look to variances with swales in the roads and so forth. To get as much density as you can, for 1 acre type lots. But the reality is, the cost to build for 1 acre type lots, you guys have a ton of 1 acre lots or larger in this community. This is for somebody that it's a different product type. It's going to be a higher end type product. It's, we're going to look to connect and have access through Black Diamond as well. So it's not going to be a affordable housing type community. We also are the developers of Meadowcrest. I think Meadowcrest is a good example of kind of a smaller lot type community. And it's all detached housing being proposed, not attached housing.
All right, do the math for me. What's the difference between using this as all 1 acre lots and what you're proposing?
Yeah, well, again, totally cost for a development. And I don't have the numbers.
No, I want to know how many lots difference we're talking about.
Well, for argument's sake, because there's 147 acres there, and our position was that we reasonably could get, say, 100 acres. 100 1 acre lots. Obviously, you can't develop 100% of the property. Okay, but say you get 100. So what was proposed was basically having the opportunity to add 200 more lots for a total of 300 lots. And that would be a density of approximately 2 units to the acre. And that's where basically then the $100,000 was offered. The additional 200 lots.
Okay, all right. Fortunately or unfortunately, we keep this.
His name is Dick's Development.
All right, are there any questions from the board?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need to hear from the board.
I have
first.
another question, sir. First of all, thank you for coming and presenting this and talking to us. Okay, that's key. This requires a zoning change by the county?
Well, there's a couple ways to go. Maybe Chuck, if you could speak to it, it's going to be a master plan community.
We would propose to do a zoning change for the simple reason that we would use it as a planned unit development. So it would nail down exactly what your neighbor would look like. The quality of the house, the quality of the roads, the landscaping, the buffers, where traffic comes and goes, where there may be improvements for water, sewer, drainage. So we would propose a planned unit development as opposed to right now, the zoning says, go build it as you want, as long as you just, have a bunch of few scattered lots out there. The zoning also says that we don't have to have any kind of quality home on the property. It just has to be a single family house. Now, you all know we can have some, now there's POA standards that we will meet or exceed as part of the settlement agreement. Was we would meet or exceed the quality standards of your current property owner association documents. We would expect to do that. That would be the quality of the house, driveways, landscaping, all of that.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
And
So it's
again-
in process now, this review, you've submitted this now or not to the county?
No, nothing's been submitted. We're
Okay,
here
thank
first.
you.
Right.
Right.
Right. Trying to be good neighbors, although we're not, the property is not Pine Ridge property. As far as in the community, we're not part of the property association, but we're trying to be good neighbors. And we're trying to say, if you want a quality development in and around your neighborhood, and not have the possibility of what you might have on a sold golf course, this is the way to do it.
We'll trade you. I do have one other question. I'm sorry, I have so many questions. You also said this is part of another plan that's linking to Black Diamond, yes?
Yeah.
Is the development plan that's going to connect to Black Diamond similar?
We're looking to do it all consistent.
All consistent neighborhood.
So
wrapping
you're
around
looking at
Black
half
Diamond,
acres into Black Diamond as
wrapping
well?
around Pine Ridge, wrapping around Black Diamond, have a one planned community.
Yeah, and let me say, some of the property along 491 is being reviewed. This would be where you see a berm that now exists just south of the Diamond, I think it's called Diamond Ridge Health Rehab. Yeah, there's a parcel there that has a berm on it that actually it's about 25 acres that has golf course frontage. And the developer is exploring a villa type concept there or a townhome type concept that would overlook the golf course.
We don't own that property, so we don't get to say anything about it.
And we don't have an agreement with them
Or
either.
we don't have any agreements, so
Yeah, you just
Please-
asked.
please stay
I just
focused
wanted to
on this
make sure
property.
that there could be an attached product, not in this location. It would be along 491.
Okay, all right, thank you.
all right, is, Mike, do you have anything? Any questions? All right, hold on a minute. Excuse me. Members of the board, any questions? I'm good. All right, from the community? Yes. Here we go.
Hello, testing.
What exactly are you looking for from us? You showed us 4 plans, okay, maybes, right? That you're not even going to be able to do. There's going to be another developer
Yeah,
that
there-
you're selling to. And he has, I don't know, are you looking for us to bless one of these and say, okay, that's what we want, and that's what we're going to do?
Let me explain it to you. We have an agreement from way back when that said that property would be developed with no less than 1 acre properties on it. They're asking for a change to that. Yes, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Keith Landers. I live right there. And several of my friends live right there, and they're in the back of the room back there. And hey, guys. So just, you gotta think about this. I know you guys are smart people, you're developers. Why in our right mind would we want 300 homes in our backyard? Wouldn't we instead just and explain it to me, sell beyond the purpose? And I thought about it earlier, like, you're gonna come in here and say, this is why we want this. Is it because you're trying to build Meadowcrest? Because Meadowcrest is awesome, right? I agree with you, that's a cool place. But I don't think that's what you're selling. I think you're selling, this is low density housing or high density housing that's inexpensive, is it not?
This would be very similar to Terra Vista.
So
Terra
over
Vista is-
55.
Yeah, well, it's not an age restricted community. Meadowcrest is not age restricted. So it's not being proposed to be age restricted.
Okay.
And sir, can I answer his question? Yeah, what we're here for is basically in order to proceed, which there's a lot of work that would need to be done, but it's really 2 things that we're asking for. One is a density number that would potentially be acceptable, and the other is an amount that you'd be willing to receive for the property. So those are the 2 items.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Raise your hand if you have something. Sir, you've had your hand back there.
Where?
Way back.
Way back there. The man, hold on. No, I'm sorry. No, I do what the board tells me to.
So my name's Tom Thornton. I don't live anywhere close to it, thank God. But is the developer that you're selling it to, is he also going to be the contractor to build these houses?
No,
No. Okay.
he will sell them with restrictions in place that they would have to adhere to those restrictions.
Thank you.
Hey, you want to say what you want to say?
And
I just
again-
found their website, Dick's Development. You might want to just go on their website and see what they actually build. I'm looking at it now and it looks like townhouses and condos, and they all look like they're on top of one another. So just take a look at that DIX Development.
Right, the development DIX developments, they work all over Florida, very reputable developer. They do townhomes, apartments, single-family subdivisions, communities, all the way up to 1 acre, 5 acre, 10 acre communities. They do a lot of Central Florida work. So yes, you'll find that they are reputable. They are financed very well with their work, and they've done a very good job as a developer in Florida. They're only looking for the detached home product here, but they're trying to get enough density that it actually would pay for itself with water, sewer, landscaping, a clubhouse, a swimming pool, all that type of stuff that you would see down at Meadowcrest. And then move it forward.
Let's keep it down.
Okay,
Yeah.
I have a question for you. So at just throwing out numbers, 300 units at $400,000 a piece, which honestly is just dirt for, because everything in Black Diamond is way more than that. So you're looking at $150 million, and you came here with what?
I don't know how that's even.
100,000?
No.
You're not even trying to sweeten the deal. You're not trying to do anything to get these people to think that's a great deal.
Well,
Raise your hands, keep it down, please.
I can't spend the developer's money. All I can tell you is what was offered, okay? And it's consistent what was discussed with your community about 5 or 6 years ago. The only difference is that there was some money being offered for a commercial opportunity along the front. This developer is not looking for any commercial. He's looking to do all single family detached housing. So as I mentioned, the two things he's looking for is certainly we can take back a number to him. In the end, I mean, he's looking for a number and he's looking for the density to see if he can make it work.
Yeah.
Hi, I just have a quick question. Would this be deed restricted, and what would be the average selling price of these units in here?
Well, according to our agreement that exists today, the deed restrictions would need to be equal to or exceed what currently exists for Pine Ridge.
Okay, and what's the average selling price of these units?
Well, if you build a 2,000 square foot home, just for the cost of construction alone, you're probably looking at $350 just for the cost of the house.
I'm just concerned that these would be lower income housing.
Yeah, not at all.
Okay.
I'm gonna go. Come back. I gotta be fair to everybody.
Can't please everybody. We've been in Pine Ridge 4 years. We've been in Pine Ridge 4 years. We moved from Tennessee, and we had a developer who was very well known in the area, who purchased a piece of property and said he was going to build high-end townhomes. And he never sold the property, but he managed to get the zoning changed. He talked to the neighborhood like this, all of that, and they are now medium end apartment buildings.
Call the question.
I'm gonna make a motion to call the question.
I just did. Will you second? Yes.
Well, thank you for your time. I'll give you back your cool stick.
Hey, Mr. Chair, we have a motion to call the question.
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention over here. I'm trying to do too many things here and not show you my taxes up there. All right. All right, let me get my Word document back up here. All right, I think I have a feel where the community is, and I've done a straw poll on the board. I believe we have a feeling of where the community is, and
No, sir. We've called the question.
we've already called the question on this. So the chair will entertain a motion to reject the current proposal from Gulf to Lake and leave the agreement at 1 acre.
So moved.
Was there? Was there a second? Was there a
Second.
And, all right. I think we've had enough discussion. Does the board agree we've had enough discussion? I really appreciate you guys coming here. I know you're in the business of doing this, but we're in the business of doing what our membership tell us to do. I'm sorry, it was not intended to have another key issue here at the same time. All in favor of the motion?
The motion is to reject, right?
The motion is to reject.
Aye.
Aye, we are,
Just for the board.
yes, unanimous?
Yes.
All right, we are unanimous.
I second it. I just have my mic on.
All right. He took the motion, Maggie seconded. All right, the motion has carried. We're going to get back into order on this thing now.
Just one comment. I want to, you know, a lot of the people, we made a decision here that was good for the community. Okay, a lot of people over in the East End won't see that from their house. But so when we hear folks going, well, I can't see the golf course from my house, think about the whole community, okay?
Good point. Good point, John.
Mike, we need to move on.
Chair will entertain a motion to recess for 5 minutes. All right, we're in recess for 5 minutes. All right, let's move on back to our seats. Let's move on back to our seats.
Beat the hammer. Beat the hammer.
Don't make us send a teacher after you. And we've got a few of those in here. Remember your 5th grade teacher, what she told you.
Let's go. We're back in order. Manager's report. Do you have it? Yeah, nothing. Thank you. All right, committee reports. I believe the Rhodes Committee has a report for us.
Okay, for those people that are new to this, I'm Mark Saveska. I'm the chairman of the Rhodes Committee. We've been working on a lot of issues on the roads. How many people drove on roads on the way here? Some people actually walked, so that's cool, or ride a bicycle. It's all good. So you guys already know the gist of what we're getting after. So the president of the board of directors has asked me to provide a monthly report, so that's what I'm providing to them. We have 3 requests for you. The first is to appoint a committee vice chair. My understanding, based on what you told me, Mike, is that we can appoint our own now. So Eileen Schweitzer, just to inform you that she will be the vice chair. And so she'll be stepping in for that as a backup for me when I'm out, or just driving the fight when she needs to. The other things that we want, yes, she is. Would she please stand up? The other things we'd like to get your approval on is we sent you
some comments on the scoping and the instructions that you sent us earlier. You asked that, we provide you updates on that. So we sent you those copies of that. And then there was the draft Turnpike letter that we want to send to different people to help establish the position from Pine Ridge on what we want to have happen with the potential Turnpike extension that's coming in north. So to the north of us.
Santa here?
No, that's the Suncoast letter.
Okay.
And there was a catch-up letter that we missed in the initial push for the Rhodes letter. It was a courtesy copy to Randy Oliver, the city administrator, or the county administrator, I'm sorry. All right, activities since the last board of directors. We've got the Rhodes letter signed and delivered. It's making an impact because the Board of County Commissioners yesterday were mentioning a lot of the data that was in it. So thanks to the board for approving it and getting it out. So it's made a big difference for us. And the authorization letter for members of the Rhodes Committee to speak on behalf of Pine Ridge, that was also successfully delivered twice now, because there was a little bit of a misunderstanding with the first one on that one. So those were signed and delivered. So thank you for the support from the board on that one. The key engagements that we had since the last board of directors meeting is we had a county strategic planning town hall hosted by Commissioner Davis, and that was up in Citrus Springs. And we were able to talk there on the future strategic planning and the importance of roads in that. We attended the Board of County Commissioners regular meeting on the 12th of April, where we discussed and brought their attention to the letter that you'd signed out on the roads and our road conditions here and what we're after in terms of increasing funding and changing the density rules. So Pine Ridge will no longer be neglected in that process. We had basically a meeting with Commissioner Schleybaugh, and we spent about 2 hours with her talking about what our conditions were, what our desires were from Pine Ridge, and how we wanted to approach the upcoming roads workshop. Then we went from that meeting, and I will say this, that it was a very positive meeting. It was myself, Bill Hunter, and Eileen, and we sat down with her. And like I said, I was there for 2 hours with her, going over some of the detail. Very receptive, very supportive to our position. We took that information into the county roads workshop basically yesterday morning, and we hung around for the Board of County Commissioners regular meeting in the afternoon that talked about some of the funding issues that we'll discuss here in a minute for Pine Ridge roads on that. So those are the things we did since the last meeting. Been pretty busy for us. Upcoming activities, I sent you a week ago, per your request, a week prior to this, the scoping and instructions, and we asked for your approval on that. And then the Turnpike letter, we asked for your approval on that. And on the Turnpike letter, if you're happy with the content, we're going to go in and manipulate the graphics a little bit so they're a little bit easier to read and easier to understand. So with your approval, we'll package that up for your signature. Obviously, in front of you, Mike, you have the signature for the Suncoast letter, and that follows the special session that we had with the board of directors on that one. Basically, we polished it up and got it incorporated your comments and it put it in front of you, hopefully to your satisfaction on that. Key engagements coming up. We've got a regular Board of County Commissioners meeting on the 10th of May. And we don't really have a plan for engagement of specific items we're going to talk about on that one. So we're in the process of determining whether we follow up on some roads activity or whether we introduce them to the Suncoast letter. That'll be upcoming. On the 24th of May, there's a Turnpike extension workshop. We are going to be very heavily engaged in that and use the information from the Turnpike letter that's in front of you, and that would become, once you sign it, once the board approves it and you sign it, that will be the gist of our message going forward in those meetings. And basically, it's a no build option based on the inputs that we got from the survey from the community and the positions that we've developed up to this point. So that's going to be our going in position. There's a lot of detail in it. I don't want to dwell on any of those details. We also intend to meet with Commissioners Davis and Commissioner Kennard. And for those people that aren't aware of that, Commissioner Davis is the driving force for the strategic plan that's coming in for the county. She as well is very sensitive to the issue of roads. She believes it's an essential function and the county should be funding it fully. She expressed that yesterday. So again, very receptive to our discussion. And for those people that aren't aware, Commissioner Schlabach has most of Pine Ridge, but the far western portion of Pine Ridge belongs to Commissioner Kennard, and that's why we plan on meeting with him as well. And as you're familiar with anything that goes before the Board of County Commissioners, 3 votes. And so we hope to have successfully engaged with Commissioner Schlabach, Commissioner Davis, and Commissioner Kennard to try to advance the interests of Pine Ridge, and not just Pine Ridge, but all the large lot communities in Citrus County. As far as the Turnpike Letter goes, like I said, you got the draft in front of you. We've talked a little bit about it, but it's the first time you're seeing a lot of the text. It's a very long letter, but a lot of pictures, and you'll enjoy the pictures because it really helps provide a lot of sunshine on that. Like I said, with your approval, we'll package it up nice and neat and get it for your signature. Our intended recipients for that letter are the Turnpike Enterprise Executive Director and CEO, the District 7 Secretary who controls this entire area, Hernando in Citrus County in particular, and then the Citrus County Commissioners. So those are the folks that we're going to send the letter to. So in the letter, we're not only going to give them all the information in our no build, but we're also requesting the opportunity to meet with all of them. And so if any of them accept it, or if all of them accept it, it'll be a busy time for us in May going and visiting the various places to go talk to those folks. On the next item, I want to give you an update on the Rhodes workshop and the capital improvement plan key takeaways. And that was happening yesterday. And that basically took about 10-ish hours of time at the courthouse. The bottom line, unfortunately for us looking forward, is the budget was largely set as we walked into it. And so there's little relief for Pine Ridge in 2023 in the future budget. I think we are very well postured. We knew that going in. We are very well postured to improve our position going into the 2024 budget. That's just the nature of the cycle. We engaged a little bit late on that one. 2 issues, funding and the density rule. You've seen it before. Roads are basically underfunded throughout the county, and it's been that way for 15 plus years. And as a result, as you were driving here, you saw those the condition of the roads. There's going to be the commissioners are planning a slow increase for residential roads in terms of funding, but no change to the density rule. The good news is there was a lot of robust discussion on the density rule itself, but no direction to change. So large lot communities like Pine Ridge will still be disadvantaged in that, though we're making some headway in getting them to talk about it. And there's some opportunity for us to engage some of the staff members offline, but not much is going to happen in 2023. One of the things that did come out of this, and this is going to be very interesting, and we've got a lot of homework to do on this one, is the directors directed the staff to examine a county-wide Municipal Benefit Service Unit, MSBU. If you hear that expression thrown around, or that term thrown around, it's a Municipal Benefit Service Unit. And the details of that are yet to be determined. They just got the tasking yesterday, and they're starting to churn on it as we speak. So we've got a lot of homework to do to understand exactly what that means to us. And I don't want to speculate and get anybody all lathered up more so than the development and the golf course have already done for us today. So I'm going to avoid a little bit of speculation on that one. One little bright ray of sunshine is West Mustang from 491 to Mesa Verde will get repaid. So when I said little relief, that's about all we're going to get. It's about 0.6 of a mile in that section. It's a condition 8 road, and they only go from 1 to 10, and 10 is the worst. But we did get a little bit on that, but that's under the Small County Outreach Program, where the Florida Department of Transportation funds 75%. The county only has to put up 25. There's some rule sets that go along with that, but there is a little ray of sunshine. But I will say this, Commissioner Schlabach represented Pine Ridge very well. So I think she did a very good job for us, and a lot of it had to do with the 2-hour meeting that we had with her before the meeting. And so our modus operandi is going to be to engage one-on-one. If you wait to that county commissioner meeting, it's way too late. And as I said, we already engaged late in the budget. For the people in this room, 2 months ago, the road committee didn't exist, and we just stood it up because we saw what was happening to the roads. Taxes for roads, and I kind of put roads in quotation marks because it's ostensibly for roads. That's the way it's marketed, and you'll hear it marketed from the county commissioners. The county commissioners directed the staff to increase the millage rate, meaning the taxes that we will all pay on our properties, 0.2 mils per year for the next 5 years. Just to give you an idea, 0.1 mil is about $1 million in tax revenue for the county. And they want to direct it specifically to roads. And so they've directed that. The county commissioners in the final budget approval still have to approve that. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's correct. So they've directed the staff to do it. They're going to increase the amount of funding to the tune of 0.2 mil for the next 5 years. And eventually they're going to get up to about $10 million. That will help with that underfunding of the road situation in there. But again, it's the roads have been underfunded for a while, and they should have been doing it all along. And that's going to be one of our messages going forward. There's also potential for 0.5% sales tax increase. Ballot initiative, probably in 2024, unlikely to be in 2022 in that. And the benefit of a sales tax increase in lieu of some other alternative is that tourists pay. If it's a tax increase, we just pay. If it's a sales tax increase, obviously we pay, but also tourists and everybody else pay on that one. Those are potentials. They're trying to address the situation. Commissioner Davis made the comment based on her work on the strategic plan for Citrus County, and this is where she's a champion of this issue, is roads are something we ought to be doing right now. And when I got up and addressed the board, I described to them that we expect them to make the call because all the citizens of Citrus County in this fiscal environment have had to cut things and trim things. It will be very difficult for us to see a tax increase unless they show some fiscal discipline and look hard at their budget and reprioritize towards those essential functions versus those nice to have things. And that hopefully will be captured in the strategic plan. And that's why we want to engage with Commissioner Davis. So that's a quick report, a quick rundown. Apologies, a little bit of technical problems. There would have been some slides up there for you guys to look at, but hopefully I was clear enough for the audience and for the board members there. And so I'll just reiterate, we've got Elaine Schweitzer covered on that one, but we're looking for you to approve the scoping and instructions in the Turnpike letter. And now I'll turn it over to the president of the board for any discussion or direction from them.
First, Mark, I'd like to get with you on that scoping letter. So let me know when you're available and we'll meet as soon as possible. Does the board have any questions of the roads committee?
I just have one quick one, Mark. Thanks. I remember you well. There was talk at one time about getting the financial. There was talk at one time about getting the financials from the county on how the roads are funded, or at least looking at sources of income and expenditure and all that sort of thing. Were you involved at that point?
Well, I think the primary person involved in that is largely Bill Hunter, who's been leading that effort. But we are starting to see the budget detail. Anybody can go to the Citrus County website and find the 2021 budget. We're in the process of and it's 521 pages. It's actually a well-written document, a lot of good detail in it. So we have that information on what the funding is, all the details on the whys and the rationale for that funding. You really have to dig and engage with the staff on that. Bill Hunter's done a lot of work on that piece of it. We're looking at the upcoming budget for 2023, and the details are just being released right now. Yesterday, we spent some time on the capital improvement program. Roads are a part of the capital improvement program. And we got some detail on that yesterday. And literally, we're just now getting our Freedom of Information Act requests delivered to us. So a lot of the information we're getting is brand new. We haven't had a chance to dig on it other than what we've had already. I will say the staff is trying to be responsive to us. So they're doing well in that regard. But as true with anything, when it's a budget under development, you don't have all the details. A lot of it's pre-decisional. Sometimes they got to play their cards close to the chest because they don't have commissioner approval and all those things on that. So we are making some progress on it, but we still have a long way to go. Bill, do you have anything to add?
Okay, yeah, thanks. No, it's great. You're making progress. So that's terrific. Thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is item 9C, ADC application corner lot issue vote. Issues vote. So we've got. Go ahead.
Presentation by owners who were told to appeal to the board.
Right.
Because they couldn't have what they wanted. That's their lot up there. This is their letter on the backside. They denial on 2 other applications.
Okay.
Let me just take this back.
Okay.
The one that's asking for appeal is this one. That one's forthcoming though.
Okay. All right.
I just pulled it so you can see the problem.
So the problem is this. Our restrictions use the front lot or the front property line to help determine the front line of the main structure and the rear line of the main structure. The county has designated that the shortest road is the front property line for a
Shortest line.
the shortest line. Yeah. So the shortest line along here. So as you can see this with regard to what the county considers the front property line, this property is in the back. This building is in the back of the property. So I've got this diagram up there if anybody's interested. So that means, you know, we restrict a lot of things to, right. In this particular case, the front line of the property would be here and the rear line of the property would be here. You can't see my pointer moving around? All right, I'll do it the hard way. I'll get the high tech.
Okay. Yes, the front of the property is here. Right? Even though the front door faces there. This property has no room to put a building or anything on it. That's the problem.
And we have 3 instances of it.
We have more, there are more.
But, so.
How old is that house?
It's a year old.
No.
It's just poor placement.
It's poor placement. So the real problem is that in accordance with our deed restrictions, that's the problem. They've got a huge front yard for all practical purposes. Now, at one point, I thought we could use a small item in our deed restrictions that allows variance for terrain, but our terrain variance is limited to natural terrain. So we'd be stretching it quite a bit. So I'd like to hear from the rest of the board, so I'm not the only one that looking like the bad guy here.
So currently, their mail delivery in their driveway goes onto the other street. On the long street. On the long street.
Right.
But the county is saying.
The
that
county.
their actual-
We use the county's standard
Definition.
of the definition of the front property line is the shortest property line.
The shortest line would be that top line.
Whoever originally put the house on the lot, that's the line.
Shortest line. On rectangular properties, everybody's rectangular property is longer than it is wide right now. I mean, you can place your house any way you want, but the street is at the front property. When we were working on this, we were just deciding that maybe we should ban all corner properties.
Not
That's
easy
where
to-
all our DRA should be, but, so this is the problem we have, and there's no easy way out of it unless we want to break our own restrictions.
So basically, they want to comply with the spirit of the law, but unfortunately, the county had other ideas.
No, we adopted, he just said that we adopted the county
Yeah,
definition of
but I mean,
front
if it-
property.
Yeah.
And then we referenced all the other lines based on the front property
The
line.
problem is they put that house so far back, they have no rear property.
That's correct.
But no, I mean, I can see why they would do that. That's nice. They got a short driveway, they let them out.
Yeah.
What? Oh.
But they probably thought they were on the, using the front line anyway.
No, it's okay. I just, I don't think it's poor positioning. I mean, I wouldn't call it that. They built it, we approved it, right, through the ADC committee at one time. It's only a year old. And, you know, it depends on what you want to do with your property, but they have a short driveway and they've left a lot of their property open, presumably because they thought they would put something on it, you know, or leave it wild like I've done with mine. So I wouldn't necessarily say that it's poor planning.
But the problem is, it does not leave them any room in accordance with our restrictions.
With our new deed restrictions.
Yes.
But it,
It wouldn't have with the old.
Yes, it would. Yes, it would.
Okay.
Let me explain why.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
the front of the house. Yes, I can.
Thank you. Because the old restrictions did not dictate the length of the road. What it dictate would be behind the rear line of the home, okay? And not only that, it could be as long as it's behind the rear line of the home. It could have been over in that area where the land is, as long as it's 40 feet off that street front. So prior to this change, this would not have been a problem. And the big problem is, John, is that's the front of the house that's facing the short street. So they can't even use behind their pool. No, they cannot, because it'd have to be stuccoed. Okay, all right, got you. But not everybody has to do that, you see. So there is an issue. But who really wants to look at a building behind their pool? I mean, you know, I mean, they thought when they bought the land that they were going to be able to do that. Okay. The next one that's, you can't now. Yeah. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but it's pushing a condition on them that everybody else doesn't have. You know, I don't know how to fix it. We've talked about it.
Yeah. All right, let's hold it down a little bit. So Wayne, you've got questions or comments?
The other one's fencing. And
How
it's
many
similar.
square footage are they trying to build?
1,200.
Well, yeah, then they could go behind the front line.
They cannot. It has to be separate.
Where's the point? Okay, nobody can. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, according to our new deed restrictions, this is the front line of the property, which means this is the front line of the main structure right across here. This area between here and the rear, which this is now the rear of the property. This area here, they could put their building, just like any other property that we have here. The only,
Oh, wait a minute, it can have a minute.
I'm sorry, say that again. No, it has to be behind the front line of the main structure. And the front line is dictated by that property line, which is the shortest on a corner, which makes this the front line of the main structure. They could put a building here, but it has to match the main structure. And it cannot be a metal
Well, it could be
building. That is correct.
Could be a stuccoed metal building. Long as it looks,
It's gotta be behind the rear line. metal building.
That's not correct. Our old ones allowed for it. Yeah. And I'm trying to understand what they want to do.
Well, let's vote on this one, and then go to the next one.
I'm trying to understand what they want to do. Here it is. 58-inch high or
His solid fencing behind his home, but because you're saying the front of his home is over here, he can't have it there.
Yeah.
The back of his home is there, technically, you know.
Let's solve the first one. And then go to the second.
All right. Does the board have any suggestions on this first
I
one?
think Wayne's got it.
I think
They can't build it in there, is that what we're saying?
they have to make it look similar to the house, so they'd have
Yeah.
to stucco it.
If they put it on the side, they can put it right behind the pool.
Yeah.
And it could go here, but
No,
no, you might run into setback problems.
No, they can put it right here. They get 77 feet. They can come 25 off the back.
Well, they
right
got,
here.
they got 37 feet, but they lose 20 of it to setback 25.
I thought it was 30, I thought it was 77 feet.
That says 37, well, 77 that way, 37 that way. So they would.
37 this way, they're gonna run into the setback.
77 from behind the pool.
Right.
Yeah. They come in 25, it's only a 1,200 foot building.
Yeah, must be 30 by 40 or something like that, yeah.
All right. Yeah, you all have enough information on this one? All right. You want to lump them or not?
No, I don't think.
Okay. So what solution do we have?
Quite honestly.
Well, their house conforms, Maggie. Their house conforms to the rules. Where they put the house conforms.
Yeah,
That was their choice.
well, yeah, I mean, but most people would probably think that their front property line is the door, where they look out and drive their car out to the road and where their front door faces, you know?
But that
I would
breaks-
think that would be a reasonable assumption that somebody would make.
Yeah, but that's why you're supposed to read the deed restrictions.
Yeah, but were they in effect when they built the house? No. Yeah, right. So they weren't in effect when they built the house. So I mean, as we've done in the past, when we have people that are grandfathered in here, I am inclined to say that this is something that needs to be brought up by during ADC application processes going forward to make sure that people are fully aware of these things. But for now, houses that were built this way, and I mean, it's not like arbitrary, they're driving in and out on a different roadway. I mean, which would lead me to believe that that's my front door and that's where, you know, I mean, and they have a considerable amount of the rest of their property that we're basically telling them right now they can't really do a whole heck of a lot with. And so I did not vote. I would vote to grandfather them in. That would be my position.
So while you're clapping, let me remind you the outcome of that. Every house that was built before the new deed restrictions can pick which rules they want to follow.
That's not necessarily.
Well, we will set a precedent by doing this.
Well, they have physical restrictions on their house right now that are
I-
reasonable. I don't buy that slippery slope. It's been used over and over again. And to justify why we have.
Hey, I'm in favor of just getting rid of all the deed restrictions, so I'm the wrong guy to talk to.
He's not. You know, this is not like some arbitrary thing. This is that positioning about brand new.
Still no mic. Maggie, pick up your mic.
Everybody online, there's over 50.
There's over 50 people online. Okay, we usually don't. Okay, yeah, there is. I saw the number there before, but well, I'm not gonna, I think that the argument that, oh, if we let them do this and everybody can, no, I think we are able to judge. And this is, I don't know whose is whistling.
Well, what would the rule be?
But
What would the rule be that we would be enforcing?
well, if your front door goes out to the street, that's your front street, and your front line would be, that's where your front door is. And I know you worked hard to change that because people were positioning their houses in different ways that it wasn't liked.
So take this house and turn it so it faces the corner,
Um,
which is the front property line.
I'm talking about this one. We're talking about somebody who's come before here and made an exception to it as far as grandfathered in.
Okay, I'll tell you what, let's just do it the easy way. Somebody got a motion? Because I don't. I don't.
Yeah, I move that we reject the application.
That's the motion.
Yeah, that's the motion.
Right, so I second, you need to second the motion.
It's an appeal, it's not an application, just for correction.
I move we reject the appeal.
Further discussion. I'm going to take this off the screen.
See, the other alternatives, they just go to CBS building.
All right, is there any further discussion?
No. Yeah, go call for the vote.
What is it? I got it. All right, so this is application.
No, we haven't voted yet.
yet. So what's the identifier on this application?
Gail, what's the
What's the
answer?
identifier of this application?
It's not an application, it's an appeal to
What's the number of the application?
It's not an application, it's an appeal to
15 block 140.
a meeting that they had with the ADC, whereas the ADC told them to make an appeal.
Motion is to reject the, whatever it is.
You know, there is a process in the deed restrictions for changing things. And if you feel that the rule that the deed restriction committee created, whereby we're using this shortest property line on corner lots, there is a process in the deed restrictions where an appeal can be made and a suggestion made to change that. So it's not without remedy.
Certainly.
My name is Keith Landers. I'm on the ADC, so it's my fault. Just a comment, and I totally feel for the person. I mean, I don't want to tell anybody where they can put stuff, but you got to remember that when we let people put stuff in the other places, it also affects the neighbors. And so that's the reason why some of these rules are here, is it's not always just because we want to stop people, because we're trying to be fair to everybody on all different sides. And I just wanted everybody to think about that. This is not like, oh, we don't want these people to build this building. It's the other side of this is, do you want to have somebody with a big old metal building out on their front yard, or what may be perceived as their front yard over on the far right side? And that's all you see now. That's what this is really all about. So.
Well, right, but it's not going to be perceived as anybody's front yard because their front door and the place where people drive by and say, oh, there is where I'm going, is the front yard. I know, and also too, I mean, right now what you're talking about is putting a metal building, the minimum space to squeeze it in. It's going to be butted up to your neighbor's property line. by the minimum 25 feet as opposed to allowing it to be put somewhere else.
But no matter what rule was in place, that would be the only two options for that house, if it was the prior or now, because of where that house is located. There's no rule that's ever said, hey, you can put a big building over outside in front. Or you could put one behind the pool, or you could put one over here based on the current rules. And that's where you'd be able to put
If
them.
he changed it to a CVS block building, he's
Yeah,
got
you could
some
do
other
that.
options.
You could do that, yeah.
Okay, so let me reread the motion. Move to reject the appeal for ADC application for lot 16, block 140.
So moved.
Oh, it's already moved. Now we're voting. Now we're voting. We better get this by one at a time. Wayne?
No.
John? Mike?
No.
No, we're voting to reject the appeal.
Yeah, that'd be a yes.
Jack, so you're voting to reject.
Reject.
No.
No.
Sorry, buddy.
Yeah. Well, I'm on the way out anyhow, so I think we've got to follow our deed restrictions, so I vote reject.
That could be the advice
Yeah.
is to consider going to a CVS, and I think they might find out they wouldn't be that far off.
Now, while we're doing this, we recognize this as a problem, and we're exploring ways to redefine corner lots to correct this. We do recognize that there are some challenges.
Right, so it's very
read
bad
those things better.
fortune to be,
It's too
not
damn
having had
complicated.
that done yet.
Well, if it changes, they can always go back and do it.
And we are hoping to put that one out, strike an ad very soon. But that's irrelevant. This is a bad thing for this homeowner. So, all right, next appeal. The next appeal is a similar situation. I don't have a diagram that I can put up on the screen, but they want to put in a fence that is basically forward of the,
What kind of fences?
no, it's the height of,
Scenario, okay? Their
Well, you-
home faces a street, that's the long street, and the side faces the short street, but they wanted the solid fencing behind their house, but now you're saying the front of their house is on the side facing the short street, so they can't have it along the back of their house because it would only be proper behind the side of their house. Yes?
it's the same thing. It's the same problem.
I didn't pull all of the problems, but we've had many. Okay, many.
What's
that? This issue? I don't get why we only have part of the house here.
Is this the other house front face? Where's the rest of the house?
This is the house. And I have a neighbor here with a small child, and we have dogs. We just wanted to privacy fence back here. The rest of it is all the board.
So privacy is behind the house.
Yes, behind the house back there.
Which is your shortest property line? It's hard to tell from this. This is the shortest property line.
Somebody. Yeah, but this is all posted here. So
The only place for privacy is back there.
so that's.
They have a pool.
Oh, it is, because this is the front line of his house right here. So he would only be able to come back to here.
That they.
His privacy fence would have to come here and here. He couldn't bring it over to here because.
That's the thing. I think other ones, yeah.
I agree, 100%.
I realize that, but
So if you could you go here?
Yeah, exactly. The world, the sky is falling and the world will come to an end.
The privacy fence has
Yeah,
to be
repent.
behind the rear line of the house. This is the rear line of the house
You're gonna
because
miss
this is the
this.
shortest property line.
I got you.
That's the front property line.
Oh, I
This is
know.
the front line of his house.
That's
So
a
his
side,
privacy
yeah.
fence could only go from here to here. That's the way the deed restrictions read now.
So I think we gotta change it to where the front of the house.
No, we can't do that.
Up there? All right, it's up there.
Well, like it's, you know, if John had his way, yeah. The only good thing is we are limited to
All right, so
double the original fees. And not double what they are now. They're double. No, that's the deed restriction. It's in the deed restriction. And it has to be passed by the membership. The board, the board can go up 25%. Of the original one. So it's a short line of the house. 79 on that one. The original, which this would be the side, theoretically the side. He wants to run the privacy fence around here.
Yep. We can do it over here.
See, he's gonna, this is all post and board, and then he wants to run privacy down that.
Yeah.
You know what? Let me throw this out. Maybe he can work something with his neighbor. Where the neighbor puts in the.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir.
You got a neighbor that lives
How's your
over
neighbor,
here?
how's your neighbor's house situated?
It's facing this road. So
So this would be their long line, so
Yeah.
it wouldn't work.
their driveway,
Because this road goes up that way.
their
and they
driveway
limit
comes
it
out
to
to
here.
Right.
So that
they
would
have
work.
a pool right here, direct
Yeah, so
line.
they could only go up to here.
Yeah.
They could only go up there, so that wouldn't help.
Well, that's what we're trying to, if your neighbor's house face the other way, you could work with him and put the fence in.
But it's
behind
because
his.
it's along the road, so that won't work.
Yeah, he said he was going to put a fence in too, but he's a young couple. So we just bought the house in January. We have 3 dogs.
All right, you guys have enough information?
Yeah.
And then I
What's that now?
what can I do if I can't do the private?
Yeah. Well, you could.
You could go the privacy fence up to this line here. Or no, actually, it's way back.
I don't want to do the private. The rest is all the board on.
This
Well,
is
he
the,
can do a 4-foot
you can
privacy.
do a
fence.
4-foot fence. You can do a 4-foot fence. You just can't do a, you can do a 4-foot fence. Yeah. So we can do a 4-foot fence here. We can do a 4-foot fence.
So we,
You know that fence,
this is, we reject the appeal again.
yeah. Oh, there it is for application. All right.
Yeah, this one's voting on also.
Yeah.
I don't think so. We only have one.
He's got
That's
he's
what
got
it
an
said.
identifier for the-
How much, sorry?
Is there a vote required for this one now?
10603 is the app number. Yeah, but that one, I wrote, that one comes right off the rear line of the house.
It's on the corner of Apricot
Yeah, it comes right, that fence comes right off the rear line of his house and back. We went and looked over.
Okay. All right, who's gonna form this motion?
This
Use the
isn't
same one you
being
had
voted on
before,
now,
so-
is it?
All right,
Is it being voted on now?
we're going, here's the deal. Cheryl entertained a motion to reject the appeal for the agency application.
No.
10603.
I don't know what.
So moved.
It's a fence, but he can do a 4-foot solid fence there. All right, we have a motion, we have a second further discussion. He can drop this down to 4 feet now, it'll work.
Is he willing to do that?
No restriction that says it.
Well, just,
The height of your
don't
fence-
get into the solution. Let's get,
The height of the fence is dictated by the location. There's no rule on, you can make it out of wood, you can make it out of metal, you can make it out of pickets. So you can do polymers. Yes. Sure can. I think we can. I don't think we want to do
let's don't get, we're looking at this. Let's get into the next one.
What do we look at? I'm sorry, I don't even know what we're voting on now.
We are voting to reject another one that is affected by the fact that it's a corner lot with a house that is in the wrong place.
So we're
do
voting
it.
to reject the appeal, is that what we're doing?
That's correct.
Okay, and do we have a motion and a second?
There is a motion and a second,
Yeah.
and it's for application
Wait a second.
10603, and I will
Yes,
call the same culprits.
No,
I'll have it the other way. Maggie,
No.
Mike.
No. You know where this is going.
I'll go yes.
Yes.
Yes, motion carried.
Sorry.
I am just making sure I never get elected.
Fat chance of that.
Sorry to make fun of it. But I
Okay.
don't like doing it.
No, it's not,
Especially since
it's no
it's gonna
fun.
be under consideration for review. I mean, they're getting caught in the middle of our changes, and that may change.
I
again in the
do
future.
understand it, Maggie. I just don't have a good solution, because then every house that was built before last year has grounds for appeal.
Not every house, we're only talking about corner lots right now, so that's already an over exaggeration of the
Right.
situation.
A lot. Well, no, if you make an exception to this, why can't I make an exception to another rule?
But it
My
depends
house
on
was
the
built in
circumstances.
2008, so I've got
And we
lots
have
of
rules
grandfather.
for people who have that, we've called it grandfathered in.
Well, it's, the motion's passed. Let's go to
Yes.
the next item on the agenda. Getting late.
All right, next item is another. There's another motion. It's for application. No? Oh, okay. All right. So we only have two. Oh, this has been fun. Not. Where are we?
We're on the decision on the, yeah, 90.
9E. We've finished that. We have two rejections. 9D, Delta, we already dealt with. Okay, 9E is in an interesting place right now. So there was a discussion about, on 9E, about promotion of election
Election.
of the election to get more votes. However, we've had a candidate withdraw today. And that withdrawal means we now have 3 candidates and 3 vacancies. And while it's a murky place, 7203069 Bravo indicates an election is not required unless the candidates are nominated. More candidates are nominated than vacancies. So we now are in a situation where we have exactly the same number of candidates as we have vacancies. So we've done this before, but we just never held the election. We started an election and there's no requirement to meet a quorum under this. So with that, I'm not sure it really needs a motion, but we might want to back it up and throw all our butts on the line. So I'll entertain a motion. Tom Russell.
Tom Russell.
So I'll make a motion, or I'll
Make the motion. It's gotta be a motion.
I will entertain a motion.
Okay.
And I haven't written this down, so it's gonna be interesting. Entertain a motion to announce the candidates that are remaining as the the personnel that will be replacing 3 members of this board, that that will be announced at the currently scheduled general membership meeting, which will reconvene on the 24th, and seat the board and hold their organizational meeting on the 25th.
So moved.
Is there
Second.
any discussion?
I would suggest that we use the time to bring the candidates kind of up to speed as we were talking about, like a transition. Find some way to handle that. We wanted to have like a period where the new members would be acclimated while the old board stayed in place. This would allow us to bring the new members up to speed.
We will have an orientation, but
Yeah.
but it would just be what we're doing
I-
is having
Mhm.
the annual meeting and the organizational meeting 45 days later.
True,
Yeah.
but we can use this time now to sort of do that.
Well, we have the time now, yes. But we were talking in the long term to later on, and it'll be the next board's decision to do this, but perhaps change the seating date so that there is some overlap. But that's beyond us now. And we need to keep this simple. Our current process is we held the general membership meeting, annual meeting, and we seat the next day. So I don't agree with that, but we don't have time to change it now. And we don't need to add too much more complexity. So
Why don't you agree with it, Mike? What do you mean?
I don't agree with implementing something that we have not done in the past without making the conscious decision. There's been enough things that have not gone the way we have normally experienced them. I don't want to add one more new thing to it for this one. I'm suggesting the next board buffer the election conclusion and the seating by 2 weeks to allow the orientation so that, when the next crisis happens on the 25th, it's not day one. But
Okay.
that's not something we should do in this motion.
Yeah, and I don't think I agree in a way, Mike McCoy. because
I agree that what Mike wants to do
is
is
good.
a change to our
but
long-term procedures.
We still are holding the homeowners association meeting, so theoretically, somebody could nominate someone else from the floor on that day. Right? So it isn't necessarily, yeah, I mean, it's possible. So, we would be making an assumption of, we know who already is going to be on the board. I know it's ridiculous, but according to the,
You're right.
right? I
You're
mean, somebody could
Well, I
nominate
think-
somebody else and there could
Well,
be
here's
500 people show up like tonight.
I think that's only if we have the vehicle in our bylaws for nominations for the floor.
Which we do not.
We do not have.
We've been told we should have it. So that's going to be something that
But we
needs to
do
be.
not, but we do not have.
But that's the purpose of the meeting. I mean.
There's no practical way
This
that
is
works.
going to be exactly.
There's
the
no
same-
practical way that works. If you have a nomination from the floor, after all the voting is done, there's nothing that can happen.
Well, unless the people
Unless
show up.
300 people
Right.
come in here,
Right.
yeah.
But the thing, this is going to be exactly like you and Mike and Wayne came on the board the last time.
Well, right, and from what I read in the statutes, that may not have been a cool thing to do, but
Listen, there's
honestly,
nothing that covers this completely.
yeah.
So
I'm just saying, to get back to the point at hand, I wouldn't make any assumptions to cast
All right.
anybody else's.
does anybody have
Doubt.
any other comments on the motion I made up?
Mike McCoy, are you proposing we have like a workshop to orientate the new people? Is that what you're saying?
Something like that, yeah, something that helps them come up to speed so that when we seat them on the 24th or whatever, they're already kind of acclimated and can
Man,
jump
I'm
right
going to
in.
Tahiti,
That
and
was
I
all.
ain't talking to.
We can do that
Just
between now
joking.
and then.
Yeah, but like I
Okay.
said, yeah,
All right.
make them a part of it. So it was just an idea. It's moot because you're already on, so.
All right, so I got to.
Yeah.
All right. Does anybody need this again?
No.
All right.
voting on something here?
we're basically saying that we're going to seat these people.
The three candidates are left standing.
Yeah, the survivors.
Okay.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays?
I don't know. Honestly.
Abstain?
Yes, thank you.
One
I don't see any
abstention.
horses, so.
Is that four and one abstention?
Your motion was, your agenda item says decision on promotion of elections.
And we're deciding not to do that. And
Right, but it's not about seating because you're not to that point yet. You're not at that annual meeting.
okay, fair enough. All right.
Secondly, the board does not have an organizational meeting called. It's not an agenda item. That date is coming on. So the board's probably gonna have to.
Yeah.
We're not, but you're not seating, you're just voting on the agenda item.
Okay, it's going to happen the way it happens. We don't need to act. It's there.
Yeah.
No motion. So no action on item 9E, right?
Yeah, we'll just table it with we had a discussion about it or something. Move to table it or whatever. Is that what you want to do?
Yeah, no motion.
Okay.
So this is what's going to happen. I mean, that's the way it's going to happen that day. The seating normally occurs the day after the general membership meeting. So that's when it's going to happen.
Yeah, but if Gail is correct, we have not set the. We've only set the annual.
So we need to have a special meeting and set the organization meeting.
All right. What's your calendars look like?
Either that or the seated board. That's what we did, right? But it
No.
has to be done before your regular.
Because
board.
we had existing candidates.
All right.
Which is the following week, so I think you should set it.
No, the regular board meeting is the day after.
Or the day after, you're right. You're right. Next day.
So we need to have it that day.
Okay, so we need a date. We need 48 hours notice for a special meeting.
Yes.
All right. So that takes us starting tomorrow morning. Right? Let's not count tonight.
How about if we amend this particular item?
Add it to the agenda.
You can't do an amendment to a.
All right, we still have
Oh,
plenty
we
of
do
time.
that all the time, I thought.
We have plenty of time.
Yeah.
We have plenty of time.
All right.
48 hours from now is when? Who's got a calendar?
It had to be Monday or Tuesday.
Monday. Well, I'm over here anyhow, so.
I will not be here until after 3:30. I'm in Spring Hill at some Springstead High School.
So Monday afternoon?
Yeah, probably, I don't know.
Oh, wait a
Get
minute.
out of there
Wait a minute. I
2:30,
gotta
4
check.
o'clock, 5 o'clock, Monday.
Let
Get
me
back from
just-
Spring Hill.
Let me just check and see what ungodly hour I have to pick Sue up. So that's Monday.
Thank you, folks, for sticking around. We appreciate it.
Isn't this
Are you
exciting?
traumatized?
Your dogs didn't seem to mind.
All right, well, that's how it's gonna be.
Oh. 7:40.
Wait, they wake right
All
up.
right, Monday afternoon. Can we do, I think we.
Let's say 6 o'clock on Monday.
No,
And then we
in the
maybe-
morning or in the evening?
I can get here and not have anything to eat. I'm in Spring Hill at Springstead High School. Tuesday, what's Tuesday?
We don't have to have this
I got a
workshop
grade.
that quickly, do we?
Yeah.
I mean, as long as we have it 48 hours before the organizational meeting,
Yeah.
that's right.
No, it's not the workshop. We're setting the organization, the time, the meeting is to set the time for the organization.
I realize
want-
that,
can we
but I
do
mean, we've got
Wednesday?
until, we've got 3 or 4 weeks to do this. We don't need to do it Monday.
All right, fine. Well, what's your calendar look like? When's the best time for everybody?
Wednesday in the afternoon will work, Wednesday? Oh. I can join from the phone.
I mean, it's going to be a quick meeting. That's all we're doing, right?
Yeah.
We can do it in there. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, we could do that. We could just Zoom it. And then it's not a facility issue.
It's probably gonna require a discussion.
We're gonna pull the calendar.
Yeah, let's do that.
I think a Zoom would be the smartest thing.
It would be nicer, to be honest, to have it sooner.
Oh, sure.
Because it-
Then we can't do some orientation.
It's 14 days too, by the way.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have anything on the ref?
Yeah, we do. She said one item should go quick.
I suggest we move on to item F.
Yeah, let's go to.
Yeah, because
item
this
F.
is not even on the agenda, right? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's 8:25 as well.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Holy shit.
We don't have May yet.
Wait
We don't
up.
have May.
Yeah, we can meet in the conference room too.
Hell, we can meet on the street.
For as long as this is gonna
Only
take.
if you play Creedence Clearwater.
All right, 9F,
Yes.
legal.
You have a handout for us, Gail?
This afternoon, I received an email from your attorney. This afternoon, I received an email from your attorney, and this is regarding a settlement offer on a property that's been in lien foreclosure for a very long time. 9 years.
9 years.
Yes. Their offer is to pay $3,500 in 30 days on a total owed to the association of $8,604.59.
And we've already got the foreclosure scheduled.
You're already pressing on with that.
That's
Is this the
I-
same one that came to us a couple months ago or 6 weeks ago?
No, that is.
This is a
That
different
is
one?
paid in full with the last payment that came in the day before yesterday.
So give me that time again. It's been 9 years. And what's the delta in money?
He wants to take 50%, less than 50%.
$4,500?
The attorney's 2,658. I didn't review it. I've never been 16 years almost to be here. But anyways, and I've seen your board ever. a reduction.
All right, Chair will entertain a motion to reject the offered settlement.
So, second.
No discussion? Everybody all in favor? Aye.
I'm fine.
I need, how do you want me to put this in here? You want to fill it in? All right, I'll just. We all, who made the motion? John did, and Mike seconded, and we all are unanimous.
That's it. Move to adjourn.
But they came 4 years ago. Maybe
Are we good? Are we good? Nothing else? No more surprises? Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
Adjourn.
Sayonara.
All right, that did. Well, considering, thank you all for picking up. I really appreciate it.
What time you got? Like
Let's use 2028. 8/28. Holy shit. Hey, I humped enough of those chairs. I'm good. I'm good. But I do appreciate it. I'm gonna turn that off. Oh, and it fits right out of the box. You like it? Yeah.